I actually started this journey of transformation, I think it was January 2nd, 2010. When I started that day, I remember confidently, meaning I had already lost weight, jumped on a scale and the doctor said, "You're 326.4 pounds," at which point I was smoking 2 packs a day. My 6-year-old was tying my shoes for me, and there wasn't much quality of life for me at that point. I only tell you that because not only am I certified, I've done it. And I think that's really important to understand that not only have I done it, I've kept it off. With the introduction that Jeff gave, I think it's really important to understand where the tie into psychology comes into play. Studied psychology for about 10 to 12 years. I don't remember. It was a long time. I was published several times as an undergrad, part of Mensa, Golden Key, went through all of it. Graduate school, PhD. And the question I get asked most frequently is, how does that translate into weight loss? Which is a really interesting question, and I can answer it really simply. Weight loss is mental. Do you agree? Here's how I can prove it. If there's any portion of you that wonders if I'm right, we have Google. You know how to lose weight, right? So where's the disconnect? And where's the problem? And that is where somebody who's a wellness coach comes into place, because we study human behavior. So how many people by a show of hands know that vegetables are healthy? Which ones aren't?
I'm sure I can come up with one if I
Sweet potatoes.
No, it's not the potato that's bad, it's what you're putting on the potato that's the problem, right? So I think that if knowledge was the problem, we wouldn't have a problem. And with that being said, Google's a new thing. Do you know that how to lose weight is in the top 10 most Googled things in the world? Above how to register to vote. Is that crazy? How to lose weight is in the top 10 most Google searched for the past decade. With that being said, that means information is there, right? However, since 1975, the obesity epidemic in the United States has tripled. So knowledge isn't the problem, it's how we get there. And I think that that's the missing component in weight loss. So by a show of hands, how many people have lost weight before? Anybody lose weight? Ever, ever, ever? Keep them held. Keep them held if you put it back on. Okay, I put it all back on. So through years and years of doing this, it wasn't the losing weight that I struggled with, it was the keeping it off that was the biggest problem. Actually, I think it's in one of the videos that Colleen and I did. One day for fun, we went through and looked at all the weight loss history, and I've lost somewhere around 1,300 pounds in my life. So I know how to lose it. That was never, ever the issue. The problem is we go into this with the conception that there's an expiration date. And in my opinion, that's what the word diet denotes. There's an expiration date to that. So if I'm gonna eliminate an entire food group, can I do that for the next 100 years? Could you live without bread? Okay, me either. So that's not gonna work, right? So if we're gonna make permanent, sustainable lifestyle changes, that starts here. So as Jeff said, having studied psychology, one of my strong suits, but it was very boring, so I never really pursued it, was neuropsychology. And I'm not gonna give you this big, long, drawn out talk about neuroplasticity because nobody wants to hear it. But I am gonna give you the secret to change. So I bring a whiteboard because that's how I roll, and I don't like computers. So I want you to think of it this way. Can everybody see this board? Okay, I want you to think I am 44 years old, okay? When I decided to lose weight this time around, I was 31, okay? So that is 31 years of my life that I had a relationship with food. And that pattern of behavior is very ingrained in my mind, okay? That is something even now, the old gen is more likely to rear its head than the new one, okay? Does that make sense? To anybody here, really good way to explain it, does anybody here ever smoke? You can raise your hand, there's no judgment here. Yeah, okay, right, I did too. So still to this day, having not smoked for 20 years, that first cup of coffee in the morning, I smell it and I'm like, Marlboro Light, right? I know that sounds silly, but it's ingrained because change is a habit. We are what we repeatedly do. So therefore, excelling is a habit, not a personality trait, right? If I want to excel at anything, it's habitual. And it's doing that behavior over and over again until it becomes automatic. So who here drinks coffee? Okay, because if you don't, you should go, because we can't be friends. Okay, Darlene, do you have to think about how to get out of bed in the morning and go make your first cup of coffee? It just happens, right? But you didn't come out of the womb knowing how to make a cup of coffee. It's just this automatic process because we've done it so long, I don't even think about it. So, Sheila, what is the first thing you do in the morning?
Let my dog out.
There you go. You had to think for a second because it's such a habit that you don't have to think. So it is said, statistically speaking, 50% of the things that we do in the course of a day are done through habit and no thought process is behind it. We just function on autopilot in so many areas of our life that over the course of time, nutrition, health, and wellness has to become a habit. So this is how it forms, okay? So this is my behavior with food. So in your brain, you have these, I call them roads. It's much easier than calling it neurotransmitters and neuroplasticity. Let's say it's a little road, it's a little relationship in my brain between point A and point B. Does that make sense? For instance, let me give you a wellness example. Stress, chocolate. Anybody? Any takers? All right, Jim? Stress, potato chips? Stress.
Martine.
Okay, there you go. I was going to say, if there's nothing, he gets the marker and I'm going to sit down and he's going to lead the class. All right, so it's these automatic behaviors that happen really, that's intuition, we don't have to think about it. But then you come in and you're like, I want to change my life, right? Like, let's do this. So you're trying to create a new pattern of behavior, right? A new road, because here's what happens. When you change something, the old road in our brain never goes away. It's still open for business. But I'm trying to create a new one.